in your work, have you found ideal policies that universities have put into place to reduce this?
Are you asking me? Is the question directed to me? I have not found that, and that is why I say it's always a work in progress, because it's almost like putting an octopus to sleep. There are tentacles that emerge at all times. But we have to do whatever we can in small incremental measures to gradually make workplaces safer and more ethical. Because, the human mind is so calculating that even when universities put in measures to curtail the malpractices, there is always another way, another window, another sneaky way to do something wrong. Therefore, ethical leadership at the individual level matters more than systems, I would think.
There was a question, but for an earlier session. You want me to bring it up now, or? Okay. So there was a question for an earlier session from Maritza Reyes. And she said, I wonder if any of the experts or speakers can answer this question. A theme I heard from the speakers who started the program this morning and spoke of their personal experiences with mobbing is that they are all excellent in their fields, but also different from the norm in their academic workplaces. One was targeted after he supported other religions, and another was targeted because she is a woman. Are those factors usually together in a mobbing, excellence and difference from the norm? Anyone want to take that on? Did you understand the question? Do they always go together, being excellent as well as being different?
Okay, Barbara.
You want to take it, Jocelyn? Jocelyn. It's not a Barbara.
I can't remember who it was, but somebody used the word mediocrity. And I think that actually the problem is that excellence and difference do go together, because to be excellent, you have to actually be different. Because what excellence is about thinking outside the box and being innovative and intelligently constructive. And I therefore think they do go together, but it's because excellence and difference are intimately connected. That would be my response to that.
To the person online, I agree and disagree. I think you just have to be different. Excellence is a type of difference, as is someone who is more vulnerable than somebody else. I talked about it with the owl or the hawk and the bluebirds. If it had been my husband who was there instead of me, he would come across as quiet and unsuccessful. I came across as not quiet and successful. So I think the difference, one of the differences, is excellence. And Ken wrote about that. And then this morning we had someone speaking about the indigenous people, more vulnerable people. I think it's all about a difference compared to the large group. And it depends what the large group is, right? If you teach in a Black community, I was the minority. If I am in a white community, I'm one of them, and the one Black student is the minority. So you have to take the whole thing into.
Okay. So we have, I think, a comment here from Richard Schwint. Nice to see that name. Wish he was here in person. I'm a purist of the topic of differentness. The different target can be the aggressive person, the incompetent, or the person with offensive views. They can be mobbed too. So I guess he's saying anybody who's different or who kind of disturbs the established order.
A question just for Professor Aranja and then anyone else from the previous panels. But when we talk about like why the universities might be particularly susceptible to workplace mobbing, are you talking about employees within the university basically acting on their own accord and forming a little social group, or are you talking about elements within the university leveraging institutional power against the target? So when we talk about universities in these contexts, is it the people within them, or is it the authorities within them that kind of get wrapped into this? So if we could start with Professor Ranha, but sitting behind Dr. Flynn, I would love to hear her perspective as well, among others.
Thank you for that question. I will read to you. I did a lot of research to come up with this paper. So there is a quote in one of the research papers that I read. It says the uniqueness of college and university settings. So it does not only say it's the employees, it's also the settings and the environment. With the tenure and promotion processes, ambiguous expectations, subjective evaluations, requires constant critical inquiry and reflection upon the impact on faculty careers, development, and academic freedoms resulting from the potential for bullying and uncivil cultures. So Dennett best summarized why colleges and universities were favorable locations for bullying, and it was this: that there is that the system itself is a bit ambiguous, and people who have adjusted to the system, in many ways, the element of homeostasis works there, and you then begin to feel that, perhaps it's okay. I also read in Dr. Meng's research where she said there is no remorse for the people who engage in this because they think that they're doing the right thing. And that was also
normalized.
in Dr. Kenneth Westhue's research about the fact that if you are not running with the herd, that is enough a reason for the herd to turn against you.
Yeah. And if it's any consolation, though, healthcare is worse, isn't it? Nursing especially. Anyone else want to comment? And Marie, any other speakers? Why don't we pass it down here?
So a couple of things. In the university, the research talks about who gets mobbed, and it's usually faculty, grad students. But let's say staff and technicians, they're kind of left out of it a little bit. Lucky them. So one of the other reasons is the university is very flat compared to the org chart of pick any company. So there's the faculty, the dean, the provost, chancellor, or president. So it's a very short pyramid. One of the things, though, that's difficult about it, the only way you can stop the mobbing in a university is from the top down. I've seen it tried to be stopped from the ground up, like what do you call it? Like a grassroots campaign. It makes a lot of noise. It seems successful within that grassroots campaign, but all it needs is the person right above them to say, stop, I'm not buying it. And so if you can't get past the dean, so what do? There's only a couple levels. So if you can't get past the dean, you think, you know what, I didn't explain it right. He just didn't understand what I said. So maybe you go to HR. And they're not getting it either. And you're like, what's up with this? I'm not doing something correct. So then you go to the provost, but by the time you go to the provost, you have already been given the moniker of a troublemaker. The exact words, stirring the pot. And then you go to the president, and when you say to them directly, are you trying to get rid of me? No, you're a rock star in this place. So why universities? Because you get away with it. There's not a lot of checks and balances. So for example, in a regular company, in an org chart, there'd be managers and supervisors and vice presidents all over the place, and you're bound to find one with, how do you say it in English? Well, cojones. And all they need to do is say, stop. Stop. And then all of a sudden, that behavior, is it mobbing then? Or it's just people being, mean, right? So this is workplace mobbing, so it's very different when you have all those levels. And I think it's common that when you go to talk to someone and you don't get a response, all of a sudden the administration seems to turn on you and they form a unity, like locked arms. She's a troublemaker. When lightning strikes, I catch lightning. What's that called? Lightning rod. Lightning rod. I was a lightning rod. So, yes, in academia. Did that answer?
Thank you very much.
So I agree with much of what you've said, and I, in these last years, have done a lot of therapy and coaching with executive leaders from academia, as well as healthcare and law and government. And one of the things that happens, like mobbing happens at all levels, up and down. And the plight of people in very senior roles that are often brought in, and actually the case study that I was going to present was a CFO who was brought in, and this is a composite because I never reveal anything that's said in confidence, but a typical example would be somebody who's been brought in as a CFO or a CEO to make change in a turnaround situation, but the people in the organization actually do not want change. And so there is a sense that they are already marked before they come in. They're hired as change agents. And actually I think Tamara, you were brought in to bring change, right?
Yeah, indeed.
And
that's what I thought.
Exactly. That's what happens. And it is extremely painful and lonely if you're brought in as the partner of a big law firm and then people begin to create malicious rumors about you that you can't really defend. And if you're a high-ranking government person, or you're the chief of oncology or something at a big hospital, you look at what happened to some of the university folks. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of churn. And so this particular group of people who get mobbed are really silenced. Unless the media gets a hold of it, in which case then the story is told in a way that's very unflattering. So it's very complicated. I think it manifests differently. It manifests differently, but I don't in any way diminish what you were saying.
Oh, that's okay.
No. But I think that there's this larger context of people in different roles have different experiences of mobbing, in my experience.
I just wanted to say, in academia, you only need one strong person to make it stop. In academia, you only need one strong person to make it stop. So for it to continue, that means the administration has failed at every level.
If you want to, there's a series on Netflix called The Chair with Sandra Oh. She's a Canadian actress. Yeah, it's 6 episodes. It's sort of you're going to laugh and cry at the same time, but it gives you a glimpse into academic mobbing. There's You didn't like it?
Portrays English professors as really upper middle class people who are always aloof and unknowledgeable of what's going on.
You didn't laugh?
Neocon.
Okay.
I hated it. Except Sandra Oh.
I'd like to circle back to the question that you asked, kind of pulling together a little bit of what Emery and Catherine said. From my own personal experience, but listening to lots and lots of stories at conferences like this and different sorts of professions and dynamics, I think there's actually two different types of mobbing. There's the mobbing where the mob is the initiator of the harms, where either the management wants to get rid of someone or coworkers want to get rid of someone, and they all work together in the initial action. I think a lot of other situations begin as bullying, where one person is doing the attacking, and then the institution, the business or the college, falls back into legal defense mode. And this really jumped out at me with the quote from Margaret Thatcher, where it was clear that she wanted the wrongs to continue to protect the image of the government. So I had my dean say to me, "I'm sorry, Paul, I can't help you. My job is to protect the institution." So I don't think he was meant to be part of the mob. He was not. He was actually the second dean, and the bullying had happened 6 years before. But the institution, the HR, all the layers that Anne-Marie was talking about, they become the mob, but I don't think they started wanting to be the mob. They became the mob to protect the institution from litigation. And I think that's gotten kind of lost in a lot of the conversations because it's so messy. But in my mind, I think it's very important to keep those two types of mobbing situations different, because I think they have different legal implications, different organizational implications, et cetera.
So I do think that this happens in across all sectors in slightly different ways. I also think it's important to mention tenure as a factor. The only place that tenure exists is K-12 education and academia. So that creates a whole different incentive structure and layer of protection that kind of divides workers or, prevents solidarity or that's a very complicating factor. And, I think unions do too, right? So like, I'm pro-tenure, right? I'm pro-unions, and they also introduce incentive structures that highly complicate the conversation.
Sorry, before that, I want to share with the virtual participant. So we had already recorded all your questions, and the conference we will analyze. We can see your questions, and we will respond to your questions. So, okay, go ahead, Ken. Thank you.
Ching Li asked if I would make a kind of summary question or comment here at the end of the day, and I said I'd be pleased to. One little point I would make is Professor Arana was asked something about what kind of policies, what could universities, colleges do to policy-wise to lessen vulnerability to mobbing, right? One possibility is to host a conference on workplace mobbing, right? And we got to give Niagara University a lot of credit for that. Yeah. Now, we've had 4 substantive sections today with 10 presentations that I think I have that number correct. And I kept waiting for a dud. Because, at a conference, usually there's some duds, that just happens. And I couldn't find one. And then I was talking with Peter Coughlin there at a break, and we agreed that it was really remarkable, the combination of intense interest, speaking from the heart, passion in the presentations, and analytic power. And that's a rare combination, and it's really, really appreciated. Last year, one of the greeters was Brian Martin from the University of Wollongong in Australia. And what he said in his greeting was, if you're going to do research on workplace mobbing, you're going to meet some interesting people. And let me tell you, that's really true. And The other thought that occurred to me as I listened to these presentations, and I'm not wanting to swell anybody's head or whatever, but you know, universities these days, there's all these rankings of universities by excellence, right? The Times Higher Education has one, and I think U.S. News and World Report has one, and so on. And for many years, I have concluded that I belong to the best university in the world, because most of my contacts are people like you who've been mobbed at work. By and large, people who get mobbed at work are a whole lot smarter, more fun, more challenging than people who don't. And I truly believe that if I had to piece together the best university in the world, it would consist of people who've been run out of other universities. Maybe I could make just one further comment. I have a penis. And so there was that moment in the previous session where I was a little bit uncomfortable by the attention given to sex as a variable. Look, women are taken advantage of, put down all over the place, often on plain old sexist reasons, very often also by other women, and happens to men too. I was really grateful for Professor, or I guess she's not a professor, social worker, Ramirez, who made the point that men get mobbed too. And that's the case. And so I think what we want to keep doing is trying to lift our focus away from particular scenarios to address workplace mobbing itself, and as Ching-Li, the phrase she uses repeatedly, is to look for patterns. And when I think, I mentioned to Tamara that the pattern of the second in command leading a mob to overthrow the first in command, that happened to you, it appears. And in my research, I've had other instances of exactly that same pattern. I also think in connection with you being mobbed out of a very prominent position in Canadian public administration, what was the name of the Governor General who was run out of her job? Julie Payette. And I've lately read an analysis of what happened to her in not dissimilar terms. I don't know. But those are the quest for patterns is essential to the development of any science. And I'm really grateful for all the steps in that direction at presentations today. Really, really grateful. And so I guess we, a further thing. I was really grateful to hear Ching-Li's paper, which I had not heard before, because it demonstrated that she not only has administrative and organizational talents, but scholarly research talents too. And that was a really fine paper. So I really thank all of you a lot, and we'll give it a go again tomorrow, yes?